JJ the CPA here. Much needed relief. Got this application a while ago. I've been in touch with a couple of different banks as well as the payroll company that we work with, Alliant. This is the Paycheck Protection Program. See my next video that I'll walk through how to complete it, but it's pretty straightforward. I'll talk about, looks like we do need some tax documentation, but it would be payroll tax documentation. And it looks pretty easy. Maybe you could fill it out in about 120 seconds because it's name, address, ID number, phone number. You put in the monthly payroll times 2.5, how many you're working, what do you need it for, check all boxes, who owns it, put their name, title, ownership. You're gonna mark everything no, probably on the first page, unless you've been to jail and done wrong things. You're gonna initial all on this page, why you need it, and you're gonna be a good citizen and do all the things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then it does indicate, I acknowledge that the lender will calculate the eligible loan using tax documents I have submitted. I affirm that these tax documents are identical to those I submitted to the IRS. So I'm sure at first glance, there'll be an interpretation of tax documents being tax returns, as in the individual or business tax returns. But this is entirely based on payroll, the loan amount, okay, entirely. So the tax documents that the bank would need would be the Form 941s. That may differ from bank to bank. This just came down the pike. I guess I've had it in my possession now for an hour and a half. But so check out the other video, and I do want to run through a couple of things for my clients. This video is for my clients. So we've got the PPP application, okay? You'll need to go ahead and complete it. A link to it is in this email, or I'm sorry, in this YouTube video. In the description, there's a link to the PDF. And a couple of things, when we're taking your average monthly costs for payroll, okay, that excludes payroll taxes, and it's gonna be basically Medicare wages, which is in essence the most pure number to go by. And when you're looking at health costs, it is the health, the dental, and the vision that the employer's paying. And then if you have an employee that makes over 100,000, when you're calculating your payroll costs, you would have to back out the amount for that employee that exceeds the 100,000. And then the employer match. So adding all those together, okay, divided by 12, that's the number that goes on here and that's really the only number. From there, it's just the math. So you're gonna come up with this number. If you're with us and you're with Alliant, we're gonna have that number tomorrow, okay? So you don't have to call Alliant, it's already being calculated. Alliant will need to charge you some kind of a fee for that I'm sure will be absolutely worth it. It'll be nominal, but they've put a lot of time and effort into that to have it available as soon as possible. I did want to clarify, because I've got a number of questions on this. When you're looking at your payroll costs, now outside of the self-employed, it's what's on a W-2 only. It doesn't include 1099s. There's a law firm circulating an idea that when you look at the law, that payroll costs include, in essence, those that you're paying, 1099s or independent contractors, and that's not actually the case. It's defining payroll costs for employees, and then it's defining payroll costs if you're self-employed. You don't get to include the both, period, okay? So if it's not on a W-2, the answer is no, it's not in your payroll costs, okay? So it's not distributions, it's not 1099s, it's not money that you pay from one to the other. So just because you've treated it, quote unquote, as compensation over time, if it's not on a W-2, it is not going to count, okay? Real quick, I'm a little bit surprised. I've gotten a number of questions on this because I feel like I've done a number of videos on it and I say it over and over and over. If you're getting the PPP, okay, and it might be that these can get submitted as early as Friday. you're getting your money. Okay, you're getting it. Now, I'm not even saying if you do the EIDL that you're being greedy, but listen up. The EIDL, which is also known as the COVID-19 tax relief loan, okay? So EIDL, okay, economic injury disaster loan, is exactly the same thing as the AKA COVID-19 disaster loan. They're exactly the same thing, okay? So what I've heard versions of is, well, if you apply for that, then you get your PPP money up front. Wrong. They're completely separate. And here's the deal. You get money on EIDL, which is the COVID-19 disaster loan. You have to pay it back, period, the end. It's not an advance on the PPP, okay? So let me be clear on this. If you got an EIDL, then the amount that you qualify on the PPP needs to be reduced by the amount that you got for the EIDL, the COVID-19 disaster loan, okay? So if you qualify for $75,000 on the PPP loan, okay, but you got $10,000 on the EIDL, then you're only gonna get $65,000. Hold on, you're only gonna get $65,000 from the PPP. So what's interesting is it still seems to be then a question of, well, why wouldn't I get both? Because I'm now gonna get my EIDL, you know, my 10 grand, and I can get it right now and I don't have to wait on my PPP. The key here is whatever you get on the EIDL, you have to pay back, okay? On the PPP, it's all potentially forgivable. So think about it. You qualified for $75,000 on the PPP. If you run out and you get the EIDL, you're only gonna get $65,000 from your PPP. Therefore, for sure, you're gonna have that $10,000 that you gotta pay back. It is not an advance, they're not tied together, okay? 1099s are excluded, distributions are excluded in terms of what you get to include in the payroll costs. The 8 weeks starts from when the loan is approved, that's 56 days, okay? So if you get it on Wednesday, it's not, well, does it include the next week and then the next week? Is it the 8 weeks after? It's 56 days in essence, okay? So it's when it says 8 weeks. And that is the time period that you have that if you're spending money on the qualified expenses during that 8 weeks, that would be what is going to be potentially forgivable. That's when the rent and the utilities come into play. So the first thing to note is you're going to get this money, and I'm assuming if you're using QuickBooks, you're going to be able to track this pretty easy, but you do need to track, okay, that the money that came in, okay, you're gonna need to prove at some point within 6 months the amount of the payroll, the health insurance, the dental, the vision, the interest on the loans that were in play before February 15th of 2020 that are in the business name, have to be in the business name. The rent and the utilities, which include telephone and the internet, okay? So during that period in the 8 weeks is the amount that would be included in determining how much of what you got is going to be forgivable. So I'm gonna have another video where I'm gonna specifically go through the application, and I'm relieved. I'm really relieved. So, all right, look for that next video. There'll be a link at the end of this video. There'll be a link to the next video that is gonna go through this form. And then in this, in the description is a link to this PDF. So, all right, hey, let's get after it.